For more, I'm joined by Amos Irwin, Research Fellow with the Global Economic Governance Initiative at Boston University. Welcome to the show. I was with the finance minister earlier, and I had a lot of questions for him about mining and copper and silver. As you know, it's their big exports. And I could sense this sort of frustration between the hand that feeds them, this big business, and their efforts to sort of diversify away from it. Walk us through, how big is the mining business overall for Peru?
First of all, thanks, Phil, for having me on. Mining is about 50% of Peru's export earnings. It's essential for Peru to get the foreign exchange that it needs and to generate economic growth. It's one of the biggest parts of the economy.
I mean, this essentially is their livelihood. Now, we've been reporting that Chinese companies, a number of them are competing for big major projects over the next couple of years. I've read upwards of $7–8 billion are likely to be invested into Peru. So a lot of it isn't just about domestic production by investors at home. It's also by foreign investors from abroad who come to Peru, who do the mining. How important is that to a country like Peru?
Well, there's been a large amount of foreign mining already in Peru. You know, China's not the first country to come in. There are American, Canadian, Japanese, Swiss companies that are already in Peru doing the mining. And the new thing is that Chinese companies are coming. There's one that's been there since 1993, but aside from that, the wave of Chinese investment is very recent.
Do all these countries, when they compete against projects with Peru, how does that benefit Peru? I'm assuming that they get probably bigger royalties, they're more competition, is probably beneficial to the country itself. But in terms of advancing technology forward, how much of that money goes to technology and improving the way that we mine those minerals from Earth?
You know, the companies, these are international mining companies, and they have operations all over the world. They use some really advanced technology in all of their operations. And that's one of the large benefits of bringing in a foreign mining company, is they're going to bring in technology that isn't always available in Peru. But the Peruvian mining companies can also just as easily import that technology.
When you look at the industry as a whole, and I suppose maybe we can broaden that out to also South America as well, because it's such a big industry down there. This global situation we've been talking about for some time, it's slowing. Commodity prices are also slowing as well. And that is having a real impact. And the finance minister said, look, it's difficult because on one hand, they don't have much of a choice. This is the hand that they're dealt. But is there anything that these countries can do to kind of lessen the risk that they have in terms of relying upon mining revenue?
Absolutely. I think, first of all, I want to say that the slowing we've seen is just in the last maybe year. Prior to that, it's been very strong. These are some record commodity prices if you look at it over a 5 or 10-year horizon, certainly. So keep in mind that, you know, this is only a slight trend downward, and we're in the midst of an enormous boom. But that said, now is the time for Peru to save up the money that it has and to try to diversify into a more developed economy. To not just export raw materials, but to be able to process some of those materials at home and generate a multiplier effect, more jobs at home, some industry that's not so tightly focused just on getting things out of the ground and getting them out of the country.
The relationship that Peru has with the rest of the world is very unique. A lot of it is, again, mining focused. But when you look at investments from overseas, when they come to Peru, how much of that profit and money actually stays in the country?
That's a good question. Mining companies, the question of mining royalties and taxes has been a real political issue in Peru. The current president, Ollanta Humala, recently increased the royalties, and it's something that allows the Peruvian state, it's a major source of funds for the Peruvian state. And so it's something that, even though the foreign companies are taking a good deal of money out of the country, they have large profits, Peru has also gained enormous amounts of revenue from it. And so it is a real opportunity for them to use this revenue wisely.
Amos Irwin, thank you very much from Boston University. Thank you for your time. Have a good weekend.